Hey everyone, welcome to Movies Allies. We have watched Avengers Endgame God knows how many times. But this time, after getting some inspiration from the Canadian guy, I decided to watch Avengers Endgame at 0.12, 0.20 and 0.25x speed. And I noticed a lot of new things that we didn't knew about before. Before going into the details, if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you are Marvel fan, consider subscribing to my channel because that's what we mostly talk about here. So in this scene in Avengers Endgame, after Rhodey says to Nebula sync up, and Nebula tries to sync up but fails because of the old Nebula, and Rhodey goes into the future. At this point, at this exact moment, Power Stone is gone into the future. It's not in 2014 anymore, but it's in 2023. And now try to remember what Ancient One and Professor Hulk said about returning Infinity Stones into the past.
Remember, you have to return the stones to the exact moment you got them. You're going to open up a bunch of nasty alternative realities.
They have to be returned at the exact moment they were taken. But as we can see, Nebula is still here in this moment and few more moments have passed. At this point, Captain America should have been already here and should have returned the Power Stone. If he doesn't, the floor splits according to Ancient One. And one more thing about this scene, that if Rhodey's plan would have been successful and he would have taken Nebula successfully into the future, Thanos wouldn't have interrupted at all. Still, they both were leaving this pod behind. The pod Nebula later used and tried to contact Natasha and Clint. This pod would have been left behind in 2014 if their plan was successful. So why would they leave a pod behind in 2014? That's a big question. Do try to give me your views about this in comment. The real reason why I watched the movie again at slow speed wasn't to point out mistakes, but since I have noticed them, it's my duty to tell you guys too. So now let's talk about this scene. In this scene, Captain America from 2023 fights with the Captain America of 2012. Here, as you can see, that 2012's Cap suit is in perfect condition. It has no dirt or stains on it. But when we saw him last time in Avengers first movie, he had suit like this. His suit was a complete mess and he even lost his helmet. And now let's talk about this scene where all Avengers suited up in their new quantum realm costumes. Here I was always curious that how Thor fitted his hair and beard in this helmet, and guess what, Marvel never showed it to us. When the camera came back to Thor, he was already partially wearing this helmet, and then helmet formed around his head completely. And when we saw him later in this scene in Asgard, his helmet was already off. And then again when he was leaving Asgard, we only saw the suit forming around him. His suit kind of lifted his beard up a little bit, and then the camera went to his mom, and when camera came back, he had already helmet on and he was gone. So still it's a mystery how he adjusted his beard in the helmet. And now again in this scene, if we go a little bit back when Thor was talking to his mom, here we can see something very far out of focus flying. Maybe there is a possibility that thing is 2013 Thor. Now let's talk about this scene where Nebula gives Thanos PIM particles, and these are only enough for one person, one round trip. So how Thanos managed to take him, Nebula, Gamora and his whole army into the future? So according to the theory, Thanos reverse engineered these PIM particles. Ebony Maw was Thanos' tech guy, so probably he replicated those PIM particles and created like a millions of them to be enough for whole army. Interesting thing about this is that Tony Stark couldn't reverse engineer these PIM particles. They only had limited amount of PIM particles which were only enough for one round trip each and 2 test runs. So why not Tony or Rocket, two genius guys, didn't try to replicate PIM particles? Tony wasn't even sure that PIM particles were there in 1970s. He had a vague idea and he risked the whole universe on it. Now let's talk about Thanos destroying the whole Avengers facility. Apparently he had very weak missiles. Those missiles were enough to destroy the whole Avengers facility but were not enough to kill even a single Avenger. Not even a single Avenger was injured in that attack. So Thanos had very weak missiles in the movie. Now let's talk about a very tiny detail in this scene. Here Ant-Man survives the attack by quickly shrinking down. As soon the missiles hit the window, he shrinks down. That's what saved him in the blast. Now let's talk about the fight of Iron Man, Cap and Thor versus Thanos alone. Here Thor goes for the head 2 times. He goes for the head with Mjolnir and Stormbreaker together, and Thanos dodges it almost both times. Even at the time of Stormbreaker, Thanos wasn't even looking at Thor. He was blocking Captain America at that time and was simultaneously dodging Thor's Stormbreaker. So his reaction time is super quick, and he has some sort of Daredevil powers where he can dodge and block without even looking. He even dodges Iron Man lightning beam without looking in the same way. And here one more thing we can see about Thanos is that he only fights with one hand most of the time. He only uses his both hands when it's absolutely necessary. Here he is fighting Thor and he is using his one hand only to block Stormbreaker and Mjolnir both. His other hand is completely free and he is not doing anything with it. Even when Steve jumps on him, he doesn't use his second hand. Even when he was fighting Captain Marvel, he was using his only one hand. This time he had Infinity Gauntlet in his other hand. So that's it for today guys. Do tell me in comment section that if you want second part of this video or not. See you in the next one. Bye.